Hi, everybody. My name is Pat King, and I was a model for Marvel Masterpieces 2020. And you're listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ian Taylor, and welcome to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast, brought to you by the Marvel Cards Fan Collective, an awesome community of card collectors and creators. You can find our two groups on Facebook, details of which are at the end of this podcast, so come check us out. With me, as always, is my co-pilot in all things Marvel cards. He once cosplayed as Wolverine and needed the bathroom, forgot to take his claws off, and, well, he's finally able to sit down for this recording. It's Norrin Rad.
Thank you, and I'm glad you told everyone my pain. I really appreciate that. It's been rough a couple of months for sure.
Have you got one of those special cushions?
I had that before, so it just came in handy. So it was nice.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to this new post Marvel Masterpieces 2020 release era that we now recorded.
That's right.
And I wanted to say that because this week we have a guest. We are not alone this week. I'm really excited about this guest. If you're in the groups, you will definitely know him by now. And he's made quite a splash in the MMC community for very good reasons that we'll talk about on this episode. I've known this gentleman, for about 18 months now. And the more I see, the more I like. Really nice guy. Who are you, sir?
My name is Pat King, and I was one of the models for Marvel Masterpieces 2020.
One of the models. How many?
So awesome.
Do you know how many there were?
I don't. All that was Dave and I never really discussed it, but I was very fortunate to do about 30 characters.
Wow.
So I know.
Wow, I didn't realize.
I know there are more models.
Wow, 30 beast. I had no idea.
Yeah, crazy.
Someone in the group mentioned. Well, Dave's in a few of his pieces.
Dave's in a few, and it's funny. I recognized a friend of mine who was in a few, which is a really funny story because that all ties in together of how I met Dave, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, later on. But yeah,
well, there's no time like the present. I mean, how did that come about?
Let's go. How'd you get into this? Yeah.
Oh, so into the cards or into this just whole world of performing?
Whichever order you want to do it, because I know there's a whole backstory to you as a performer that I imagine plays a big part in the whole how and why you ended up modeling for them. So
I'll do a really brief overview of how this all kind of led to me being a part of this set. So I went to school for acting, theater. I went to Loyola College in Maryland. I've always wanted to be a performer. And over the years, I went from acting, and then I incorporated stunt work into my repertoire. But when cosplay first came out, I was like, this is something that I need to be a part of because it's just so much fun. I always grew up on Marvel. I'm a huge Marvel fan. So I started doing some cosplay, and I had a friend who was a model as well. And every once in a while, we would set up like cosplay photo shoots. So one day we set up like 3 different themes for the day. We did a Riddler Poison Ivy, and she was Poison Ivy. And then we did a Game of Thrones shoot. So I was Khal Drogo, and she was Khaleesi.
That's cool.
Okay. That's the photo you sent us.
Yeah. So my friend who Meredith, who was involved in that, set up a couple different photographers for the day. And Dave Palumbo took that Game of Thrones photo. And that's how I met Dave, as a photographer who just came out to hang out and take some photos. And we stayed in touch, over Facebook and stuff like you do. And I guess through that was like 8 years ago, which was crazy. Like that was so long ago. And through my performing, my stunt work, my cosplay, all that fun stuff, eventually probably 2 years ago now, Dave reached out to me and was like, hey, I'm doing this thing and I think you should be involved. And I was like,
wow.
Cool, yeah. And I had no idea. So I'm like, yeah, great. Just let me know and we'll figure it out. And I remember going to his studio for the first time, not trying to get my hopes up because I didn't want to guess or assume what it was. But I showed up to his studio and I saw his sketches laid out on the coffee table. And immediately my mind went, trading cards. They gotta be cards. And it took him like a couple minutes to explain what was going on. And then when he finally revealed it, like I went insane. I went nuts because I collected all this stuff growing up, and just such a huge honor. And I had no idea at the beginning how many characters I'd be doing or who I'd be doing. That first set that we did was 8 characters. And I'm pretty sure he'll probably tell you, but like when I left his studio, I begged him to let me do as many as possible to make sure I got Wolverine. I was just like pleading with him, just call me anytime. I don't care where I am. I'm coming to you. So, I mean, that's how kind of I met Dave and kind of got into this process.
Wow. Okay.
That's amazing. How exciting, man. You must have been, I mean, wow.
Insane.
I can't believe it.
Insane.
Because I've seen a reference. I saw a back and forth between you and Dave on comments on Facebook, and there's just so much flying around. I can't remember where it was, but I'm sure there was a reference to doing photo shoots in a Holiday Inn. Was it?
So, and this is a credit to Dave and how awesome he is.
Right.
So I was on tour with Jurassic, and I was traveling all across the country. And I kept telling him, like, I'll be back around Philadelphia at this point. And, we were probably 2 hours outside of Philadelphia on tour in Hershey. And he's like, hey, I got to get these done. Can we meet up? And I was like, if you're willing to come to me, then yeah, we'll find a spot and get them done. I was like, let's do it. And he drove, and we met and literally shot in a Holiday Inn and finished up some of the set.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So that kind of ties in. So for those who don't, I can't remember if you've said it or not, but so you were touring, and I know this because we've talked about this. You were touring in a show called Jurassic World Live, which was kind of a live action show with dinosaurs and stunts and all sorts of other
all that fun stuff. Live dinosaurs.
And how long were you on the road for that before it got filmed?
Unfortunately, we got cut short after 6 months. Yeah. So we started in December. We did our East Coast tour, and then we were in New York when we got the news that everyone was going home.
Yeah. Okay.
We had a 2.5, 3 year tour planned. So we would do the U.S. and then we would come over your way, and then we would do all of Europe, and we would do Australia and all these fun places. And hopefully we'll figure all that stuff out when the time is right. But we did a really good 6 months. We had a lot of awesome crowds, and we played big arenas, and thousands and thousands of people came to see us, and we're very appreciative.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I'm because I would have worked on it when it came over to the UK.
Of course.
So I'm. You may or may not have noticed, but I'm wearing my Marvel Universe Live T-shirt from the tour that you were on. So, and I say that because you said that you kind of begged, let me do Wolverine. You do have the pedigree. So for those who might not know, explain the Marvel Universe Live reference.
So Marvel Universe Live was under the same company as Jurassic World Live, Feld Entertainment. And Marvel Universe Live was literally a gigantic live action stunt show performed in huge arenas. And they had, all the Avengers and some of the X-Men. They had Captain America, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Black Widow, Captain Marvel. And then they had, out of the X-Men, they had Wolverine, Cyclops, and Storm. And fortunately enough for me, I got to play Wolverine in that show.
That's sick.
Yeah, it was awesome. It ran for about 2 years in the US. And then at the end of those 2 years, I had auditioned twice. And finally, my second audition went all the way to the end, end round. And they were looking for a Wolverine to go on the European tour. And I got cast as Wolverine and was able to do that for about 8 months.
Oh. So I have. So this is why I find this is all so bizarre, because when you joined the group, we had this conversation. Yeah. So I've seen you perform twice as Wolverine before we met with any connection to this, because I worked on that one as well. So I remember seeing at the O2 for the
The O2,
European.
oh my God, how crazy was it that we played the O2?
Yeah.
We sold it out.
Yes.
We sold out the O2.
Yes,
crazy.
you did. Absolutely bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. It just went nuts. It sold so many. To this day, it's the busiest tour sales I've ever seen for anything in the UK.
Amazing.
It beat Walking with Dinosaurs, which was massive.
That's great. That's awesome. That's good to hear.
So you've done your time as Wolverine. And so you were clearly channeling your inner Wolverine when you did those poses. Did you pose for both of the Wolverine cards in the set?
All of them. So
there's an Old Man Logan as well.
The Old Man Logan, which is crazy because that's legit my face. Like that I think is one of the cards that is most me. Yeah.
That is crazy. I'm looking it up right now. That's amazing.
Seriously. No, you need to get that on screen. You also need to get the Craven on screen.
I'm going to put all this on screen. Are you kidding me? This is amazing.
Because some of those, which what makes me laugh, because there's a card in there that's so obviously Dave. I think it's Wizard or something.
Wizard,
like that. And I I'm looking at it,
and it's funny because I think in the one Wolverine in the one that they post originally that went out all over the place. I'm pretty sure Dave is one of those guys getting slashed up as well. It looks just like him. And every so often I'll pull a card and like start looking and see Dave somewhere, which is really funny because the story that I'd love to tell is that photo I sent you of the Deadpool pose.
We will put this on the tasting notes, folks, for those listening. But now this is the first. I'm just gonna get it up on my screen here. I've got so many windows open on this computer. I've got no idea what is going on. So this is the first I've seen of any of these photo reference shots because I know that you've been asked to have a look at them as well. But of course,
and this is one that I asked Dave. I was like, Dave, there's only one photo reference that I really want to show because it's just a good story, and he gave me permission, so we're all good.
Awesome.
So let me just get it on my screen here so I can. Right, let me share my screen. Bear with.
Oh, that is totally your. You make such a good Wolverine, Pat. It's insane. Yeah, that's totally you. I love it. Wow.
Yeah, so this one was fun. So this
gosh, yes.
This is probably one of the last. This is the photo shoot in the Holiday Inn. This is like one of the last shoots that we did. And what Dave does is, he comes in and he lays out, 8 sketches on the table, and I look over the characters and I'm like, all right, this is what we're doing today, and this is where I've got to get my head in. And and I'm like, oh, cool, the Deadpool, that's going to be easy. All I have to do is sit in a chair. And he goes, well, no. And I'm like, what do you mean, no? He's like, well, we don't really have the right chair, and I think I want to model for that one anyway, but you're going to be the painting in the background. And so that painting is a famous Marilyn Monroe painting.
Right.
Yes.
So he pulled that up, and I was like, yes, 100%. Like, no embarrassment, no shame. I was like, you shoot me when you want to shoot me, and let's do this thing.
You look great, brother.
So ridiculous, and it came out so great.
What I love about it is how serious Dave's face is
compared to yours. It's hilarious.
He's properly channeling his inner Deadpool in that photo.
You're such a method actor. I can see it in the expression on your face.
Just so much fun. I trained very hard for this specific job.
Did you have the all right, this is my purpose in this scene. This is absolutely fantastic. I love it. So I've got all sorts of things written. So did you collected cards when you were a kid? So many people that we talked to. So is it the Masterpieces cards that you got when you were?
Literally all of them. So probably when Marvel Universe, the Marvel Universe series came out. So like I think it had like 1 through 4, 1 through 5. I had all those, and then Masterpieces came out, Fleer Ultra, X-Men, like everything Marvel that came out as trading cards, I had. And then, unfortunately, over the years, I had to sell them off and, do the thing, which looking back now, I'm like, I sold Marvel Masterpieces in '96. Like, why would I do that?
Why would I do that?
But I didn't know at the time. But yeah, I mean, I just growing up collecting these cards and now being a part of the process is just, I will thank Dave until I'm dead and I'm sure I'm annoying him every time I talk to him because I can't stop thanking him for like bringing me in, and this is a dream. Crazy.
It's funny because I'm sure he feels the same way. I mean, considering that he grew up, I mean, it's insane to think that Dave grew up around this, you grew up around this, and now you both have come to this process and are making basically your own set with all of your experiences. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
And you know what? He's so humble and so genuine. Like you'd never know that. I mean, like you get his excitement and you get, you understand where he's coming from. But he's just so, I'll just say humble. He's not letting it go to his head or get too crazy. And I'm sitting here just going, yeah, I did the thing. I'm telling everybody.
I love it.
It is hilarious. 2020 will forever in my head from this moment forth, since I thought about it, be known as Masterpieces, the next generation, because it really is. It really is the youngsters coming up and like, doing that passing of the baton, I guess, if you like.
Yeah.
The reason I mentioned that is because, of course, we mentioned when we talked to Julian Boris back on episode 50 that you had also modelled for them for some non-Marvel, I believe, pieces. So did that come about as a result of knowing Dave, or was that a completely separate thing? How did that come about?
Yeah, so when I first started working with Dave, I think one of my friends who had also worked with Dave mentioned like, oh, his parents are well-known artists as well. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then they said Julian Barris, and I was like literally a minute of my mind being blown. So, the first couple times that Dave and I worked together, we had talked about it, and I was like, Dave, do they do commissions? Like, I would love a Wolverine piece from them. So basically just reached out, said, hey, I'm working with Dave, oh my God. And like, I'll be completely honest. And I told them their artwork changed my life. Collecting this stuff. I was never a guy who appreciated artwork. Like to me, some of the cards were cool, some of them weren't my style. But when Julian Boris put their masterpiece set out, like just blew my mind. And I started, the Hildebrands and Just Go, and I really started to appreciate the artwork that came along with collecting and being involved in Marvel. So long story short, like the commission didn't work out. It was a little out of my price range, but they were like, oh yeah, Dave says, great things about you. We'd love to get you into model. And I was like, what? Wait, what? And I was like, you know what? They're just being nice. And, I invited them to Jurassic World Live Tour and just kind of kept talking to Julie a little bit. And she kept mentioning, like, we should get you into model. And I was like, that's not going to happen. Like, I'm not going to pose for Julian Barris. That's not a thing. And then it became a thing. They, I was in the area and they had a couple things that they wanted me to pose for. So, I went and drove to their place. We had lunch and we got to talk, and I modeled for 3 pieces. One already came out that Boris did. Julie's working on another one that is, and these are all commissions. Julie's working on one right now that is a Marvel character, which is awesome. And then Boris has one more coming soon. But just, wow. I mean, again, insane. Just the level of like getting to work with Dave and then getting to work with Julian Boris. And again, the nicest people in the world. Like you talk to them, the nicest people in the, like, it really, really blows my mind how just amazing these people are, because they don't have to be. And like Ian, you're in the business too. People, some people in the business or entertainment business just aren't very kind. And I'm so lucky to have worked with really amazing people. And I mean, it's just a testament to their family. Just so humble and so nice.
They were really, they were lovely. I mean, we had an amazing time with Julian Boris and Dave. I mean, now that we've gotten to talk to all 3, it's been nothing but nice, honestly. Yeah, and you're right, too, right? A lot of times when people hit certain plateaus and things like that, they don't have to be nice. They don't have to be courteous or any of that stuff. But we've been very fortunate. Everyone, I think Ian, everyone we've spoken to has been nothing. Like even you, Pat, like this has been... wonderful, dude. Like so
Awesome.
amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's crazy to have gone from talking to Dave and then like emailing with Julie and like we text now. Like we text like we're friends. It's insane. She's
That's so nice.
So nice.
She is lovely. She bless her. She always, ever since I started the group and I started doing the daily masterpieces, so where I try and spotlight on a card a day from all of the different sets, be it the ones that everyone loves to the ones that people may not love quite so much. The artwork is still perfectly valid and someone worked on it. So that's my kind of viewpoint on it. So I try to give every setter, the amount of rocks I get thrown at me for masterpieces 2008 being in some of the pictures, which is bizarre because it's like, well, it is a masterpiece. And then I often have, funnily enough, the artists from those sets are often the ones that reach out and just like say something. But ever since I started doing that, Julie has replied to every single one and just said thank you.
She's so great, so kind,
such a sweetheart.
I'll take a moment now to thank her and Boris. Like they're just Julie, Boris. Thank you so much. Again, a dream come true to work with them.
Well, so speaking of dreams come true. So you did the cards, and I'm guessing, was it always Wolverine that you kind of gravitated to? I mean, I'm guessing you did the comics as well.
Yes, yeah. So I collected the comics, I collected the cards. It was always Marvel. Not that I'm not a DC fan, but I just gravitated towards Marvel. I don't know what it was, but and then so comics, it was Spider-Man, and it was definitely the X-Men. I gravitated towards the X-Men pretty hard, and all their groups. But comics, it was Captain America. It was all the X-Men stuff, Spider-Man, and trading cards. It was everything. Like I never went after one character. And back then you can complete the set in one box.
Yeah.
So I would grab a box or maybe two and complete the whole set. And that was like, for me, that was the goal, completing the whole set, getting all the holograms and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, as a kid, it was just like very hardcore X-Men and definitely Wolverine stood out to me the most.
Wow.
So what before? I'm just trying to, because obviously then you kind of grew up and you went. Did you always mean to go to study acting and performing, or did you find your way there via some bizarre route, which is often the case?
It's always something that I've been interested in, enjoyed doing, thought I was kind of good at. As a kid, I remember doing the grade school plays and stuff like that, and just enjoying it. I didn't know it was going to be an actual career until I got to college. I did nothing in high school. To be really honest, I was very shy and very quiet during grade school and high school. I was one of the kids that was bullied and picked on, and I was overweight and all that stuff. When I got to college and started studying theater and doing all the plays there is where I was like, oh, this is where I'm happy and this is what I like doing. And then that just kind of gravitated towards, I graduated with a degree in theater. And then after college, I gravitated towards TV and film. So I started doing that for a long time. And then when it comes to stunt work, that was just something that I thought would be a good addition to my acting resume. I didn't know it was a very separate career. So 2014, 15, I started training in stunt work. And as soon as I started training, I got the job with Marvel Universe Live. And after Marvel Universe Live, it went to film and TV and doing stunt work for film and TV. And, motion capture for video games and that sort of stuff. And then Jurassic came along. And that's kind of the journey that I went through as a performer.
Wow. Because I've seen some absolutely fantastic videos on your Instagram feed, which at Pat King, I believe.
That is.
Did I get that right?
Pat King. Yep.
There we go. Where you post these little videos where I can only imagine that it's you and some of the guys on the tour that you've done in your downtime, where you've been on tour, and you've done these little videos of. It's quite difficult to explain, but it's kind of you and these other guys, and you meet, and it's like there's some sort of history or some sort of longer game story, and then you end up having some sort of rumble and some sort of fight. I mean, I haven't watched all of them to know exactly what's going on. I can tell there's a familiarity and a longer thread going on with them. So
yeah, so there's our cast of Marvel was about 50 in the cast, and comprised of multi-talented people, stunt performers, circus actors, parkour people, and everyone, most of the people on the tour want to be in this business as a performer or actor or stunt performer, and we get 2 to 3 days off per week. And we use that time to write and create our own videos and shorts and stuff like that. So, that was all filmed on the day off from Marvel. And it kind of all just came about that day. We picked an alleyway, we created this scene, we got all of our stunt equipment, and we just went with it and created this video, a video fight. And I mean, yeah, it came out great.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
There's loads of them. There's even one with special effects where people are where there's one in a park where there's people. I didn't have a clue what was going on, or if I'd missed a previous episode, but it was almost like Mutants or Dungeons and Dragons crossed, and there was a guy who was clearly the big bad, and you and some other people.
Yeah,
and there's all these special effects and superpowers.
Yeah, they're usually one-offs. They're usually like something that we write, and we want to put out. We want to showcase our action as stunt performers, and but we want there to be a story and something easy to follow and short and sweet. So you're not getting this, 20-30 minute
convoluted
movie,
yeah.
But you're getting 2 to 3 minutes of like start to finish, good story, action. It helps us as performers get out there and showcase our talents, and it's just fun. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's so sick.
It's just fun.
I have to see these. Okay, I have to.
You've got to see these because this is very much your wheelhouse, Norrin.
I mean, this is yeah. Wow, that's really sick.
It's always just been fun for me. So I'm gonna keep doing whatever I'm doing until it's not fun anymore.
Well, I guess when you're on a tour like that, because you are at the end of the day, it might be the 50th time you've performed it, but it's the first time that audience has seen it. So you've got to keep it fresh from that point of view. But you've still got to keep yourself a bit fresh to be able to do that. So I imagine that just keeps things moving for you. It just keeps
especially doing Marvel Universe Live and Jurassic World Live. It's a live show. It's like any other theater. It's like Broadway. You're doing it. Yeah, you're going to do it 100 times. But yeah, you're right. Like it's the first time this family has spent money to come see you, and if your energy's low or if you're not in it, then they're not getting the best experience possible. Yeah. So that's, as a performer, that's always that sometimes it's tough for some people to stay in that heightened energy, heightened awareness. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those things that you just got to kind of train for, and keep in mind that these people are coming to see you and see a really good show.
Well, wow. It's the energy that you manage to keep up, because Wolverine is properly, tense energy all the time, isn't he?
You know what? I'll tell you, my traps and my shoulders never hurt so much or were so sore, because I was always just hunched and doing the tough guy tense routine. And I'll say this. I did 8 months of Wolverine. I think I did over 100 shows. I don't think Pat King was ever on stage. Like, it was always Wolverine. I gave that show 150%.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I wish I'd met you when you were doing that part of the tour. Never mind.
Me too, man. But guess what?
We
met now.
We'll do it again.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your Marvel Masterpieces 2020 boxes, because you got, how many boxes did you get?
I got 4.
Okay.
Yeah, so I pre-ordered 4, and I was apparently I was lucky to get those. People were not getting their orders, but I was very happy with my 4 boxes.
Wow.
So you did one of them on your Instagram, I believe.
Yes. Well, you know what? I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait. I had been dreaming about it all week of opening boxes, and I was like, I can't wait. I have to do one.
So one on your Instagram, then you did one on the group, and then the next day you did the other 2 on the group.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that second live break, which is still on the MMC group, folks. So if any of you do want to join the group and find it, it's there. So, Pat, did you wear anything special for the occasion?
Well, I was told. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it Andre?
Andre Orsh.
Yes,
Andre.
Yes.
Andre.
Yeah.
He told me that I would get bonus points if I dressed in costume, and unfortunately I don't have the Wolverine costume, but I do have a Kraven vest. So I wore my Kraven vest, which turned out to be good luck.
Yeah. So tell us why. Tell us why, Pat, for the people listening who don't know.
I don't know how this happens. I'm very fortunate, and I believe the universe is looking out for me. But I was able to pull a Kraven metallurgy card.
Right. Okay. At this point, just hold still. I'm going to find the thing where I take a photo of what we're seeing. There we go. Marvelous. You'll all have those photos.
and somebody comment like, what are the odds?
What are the odds?
I'm about to read that out. This is why I wanted to include this.
Okay, great.
This is absolutely brilliant. So Pat's doing this break dressed in his Kraven hat, which I believe isn't something you did necessarily for Dave. It's a cosplay thing. So we'll come on to the cosplay stuff in a minute.
Yes.
But so Pat's breaking 4 boxes. Now Kraven is a tier 4 for start.
Yes.
One of the ones
for start.
Yeah.
You can very clearly see in the artwork that it's you. So it looks like you. You're sitting there with a Kraven vest on so it's almost like Kraven holding Kraven pulling Kraven. So it's these metal cards. There's only 25 of each. It's 1 or 2 per case. There's 90 different metal characters. So what are the odds? And someone actually commented, I can't tell if Pat is holding the card or if the card is holding Pat.
I loved it.
That's my favorite.
Everybody's comments were great.
Which made me laugh. I said he captures your good side. Bobby Goodwin.
Stacking doll of Kraven. I love that so much.
It is. So I said he captures your good side. Someone said Pat has a good side. Dave Palumbo says nothing but good sides.
Palumbo.
So that's absolutely brilliant. But no, someone did actually. Here we go. So I tagged someone. Dave said, someone better at the maths, work out the odds on that 1 in 25 Kraven in 4 boxes. So I tagged Matt Parks, and Matt Parks has done some crazy sums to work out how many cases there would be, because they don't make this information public.
Right.
So Matt Parks said, the odds of pulling a Kraven Metallurgy in 4 boxes is 0.83. To calculate the odds of this specific scenario, I'd need additional data, including the number of collectors who own a Kraven vest and the frequency in which the vest is worn during a card break. Without that data, I will agree the guesstimate of 1 out of a bajillion.
Yeah, sounds about right. And what's so funny is I'm going to try to turn you guys around here if I can. Oh, God, I don't know if I can. Can I? Can I turn you guys around on this?
Yeah, you should be able to somewhere, I think.
Oh, boy. I don't see it, but I'm gonna manually turn you guys around because I showed that off the other day.
I didn't see this.
I didn't know that.
So
is that the original painting?
That was a gift from Dave. That is the original. So I'm sitting here in my Kraven vest, looking at the Kraven painting. I pull it. What are those odds?
See, what we need is the painting behind you in your Kraven vest, and then that little card, and we can go triple. That's proper.
That's going to be a triple selfie, technically.
Yeah. That's Inception. That's Inception.
That's Inception. That's multi-layered Inception.
It is Christopher Nolan.
I very briefly on my live video breaking the boxes turned everybody around to show that off. Dave gave me permission. That was a gift. That was a gift from Dave. And literally just again blows my mind.
One of the best, one of my favorite pieces in the set too, in my opinion. Like I love that. I love that piece.
Great. It came out so well. I mean, like
the lighting effect from the taxi. I mean, it's so clean, so cool.
The broken glass on the taxi, like
yes,
it's all just amazing. And I think I don't know what I saw of his during the process, but I think I saw maybe one of the Punishers on my second visit with Dave, where I saw something and I was like, that's my head. Like that's my head. And he's like, well, yeah, you're modeling for it. I'm like, well, I didn't know you were going to use like my face and my head, like, and seeing all these cards, I was like, oh my God, that's just like the holofoil Punisher is my face without a beard. Like that is legit my face. It's just crazy. Wow. And the old man Logan is so close. You know, it's ridiculous.
That it's just it kind of gets a little bit meta at that point, doesn't it? You're like,
Yeah.
what's going on? You have to
Even
pinch yourself a little bit.
even the Deadpool where he's roasting a marshmallow, I obviously he's in full costume with a mask, and nobody would ever tell that was me. But I went back and looked at the reference photo, and I literally had to look at the way my chest caves and how my and I was like, oh my God, he literally used every single part of me.
Wow.
For Deadpool. Like, there was no manipulation.
Wow.
That's how my chest looked in that photo, and he, to a T, that's the way it is. And I was like, my mind was blown.
Wow.
Have I? Because obviously, given that so many of these, you can either see it's you or you'll have very clear memories of it.
Yeah.
Is Deadpool? I've seen you reference that Deadpool is probably one of your most dear to your heart. Would that be a fair assumption?
Yeah, I was on the Deadpool train the moment he came out. The moment Rob created Deadpool, I was all in. I connected so hard with that character, just the humor, and have been following him ever since. And it's funny because I'm also a huge Ryan Reynolds fan, and I remember early on in his career being like, that guy should be Deadpool. and here we are, like just it all works out in the end.
That's crazy.
Yeah, just getting to do these characters that I absolutely love, and I begged Dave. I would have done every single card if Dave let me. Every female, I would have done the females.
I would pay money to see your Emma Frost. I would pay money to see your Emma Frost.
So,
all of them.
You know what? There are plenty of artists in this group. If they need a model for Emma Frost, you hit me up.
I've always wanted to see a bearded cat, but that's a different story altogether. That sounds so weird. Moving on. So you're because I know you used to be able to get a full set out of a box.
Yeah.
No longer the case, as you know, not even a case. So your collecting goal for 2020, I guess, is that every card that you posed for?
Yeah, so I would love a base set. Just the silver base is great. I want to have Dave's art, and I want to have Dave's set. For some reason, I honestly just never gravitated towards the gold signature cards. I think they're great. The what ifs are really cool. So I really like the cards that I pose for. I would love the what ifs, the base set. And then I think I'm just going to chase most of the Kraven stuff and make that a character that I get one of everything from. I think that's kind of a good goal.
Well, you started well with the metal.
I mean, that's the thing, right?
The metal and the painting, the original, like that's,
you have a master one of one collection in the works, like 100%. Like that's legit, man. That's the way to do it. Cause I mean, I don't know, Ian, right? I mean, this is something we haven't talked about, but Pat, this would be awesome since you're not new to collecting. You've been doing this for a really long time. Yeah. But like thinking about what's probably the really rare hunt. I mean, there's 25 of the metal, but I think the metals are going to be really coveted. Like, I feel like those are going to be hidden, and I feel like people are going to try to make full sets of them. People are going to grab them when they can. That's going to be the toughest. I think personally, that might be the hardest one to hunt down. So got that out of the way.
That's honestly the only reason. And this was like, this came after the box break, and I was like, oh, I've got things that will allow me to now chase the full set without breaking the bank or too hard.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it.
I loved collecting when I was younger because financially it was affordable, and nowadays not so much for a lot of people. So this has all been great. I might get a couple more boxes, but like you guys know, I'm gonna chase the cards that I post for and have those, be able to display those, and I think that might be it for me for this one.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And the group's pretty good about that. I mean, we have some people who are, not the best, but majority, 90% of people for sure will all be on the hunt for you. Kraven Hunt, I'm here all week. But yeah, so hopefully we'll be able to hunt you down.
Yeah, you know what? And I've also been able to already do a couple trades, and people
Good.
are so nice. You know, I'm trying to give up what I'm willing to give up, and you know, I let them know like, hey, I'm really just looking for the cards that I post for, and they've all been super nice. And you know, I think I've made 2 trades already where I got a bunch of cool stuff coming in.
Oh, that's exciting, man.
Good.
Yeah,
Because sketches would have been a new thing for you, I guess. Because I know you did I think you did a box of 2018.
I did one box. Yeah, one box 2018, and I think it's a great idea. I mean, I love the idea that other artists get to contribute, and you know, people get to see some characters that they probably wouldn't have otherwise seen.
Yeah, but I guess you know, unless you're planning to keep. Did you pull a Wolverine sketch? Am I right in thinking you pulled a Wolverine? Yes,
sure did.
And
that's actually a really good one too. I love that one.
It's Gary Shipman. So I'm so picky when it comes to sketch cards. I really am.
Guilty.
And honestly, if I had to choose a character, obviously it would be Wolverine. But this card is like perfect for me. I love the pose, the colors, the character.
It's almost a Photoshop from your tour.
Yeah. I mean, like that's the legit costume that I wore in the show. Yeah,
I have to admit, man, I mean, damn, you got good. I'm gonna start sending you my boxes, see what you pull for me, man. That's crazy.
I was super surprised the luck that I got in my 4 boxes. You know, like I only bought 4. I opened 4, and I'm super happy with the stuff that I got.
Couldn't happen to a better person, man. Seriously, dude, you're fantastic. I'm so happy you got that experience. That's so nice.
Yeah, and like I wasn't expecting anything. I wasn't expecting, to pull any of these cards. I wasn't expecting to model for all of these characters that I did. This this whole experience has been insane, just so surreal.
So, because when you did the box break, I noticed I didn't hear any rustling or wrapping. Did you unwrap them all before and just stack them without looking?
Yep. So I pulled one pack and put it aside from each box. So I pulled one pack, and then I opened up the rest, put them face down, didn't really look at anything. That way you can see me open the first one, and then I just picked up the stack and went through. Saves time, saves energy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Smart.
That was nice.
Really smart.
To me, it felt like a smart move.
It is a smart move.
You should produce box break videos, because I mean, ours. How long did we spend on our box? We took 35 minutes on our box, but mind you, we were forensically doing it.
It was really funny. So we spent a lot of time on it, and then we lost the footage of our facial, how we reacted to it, which I'm still a little peeved about. But so then what I did was I went through all of our stacks.
It's taking you ages.
Yeah, because I did 2 sets of videos. So there were 3. There were the one we unboxed, and then one video of me putting each card with the right time appropriation.
Yes.
And then I did the back ones too, because I had to time it. So because otherwise you don't get to see the card, and it's tough to people want to see the art and especially how early we all opened boxes.
That was the first look one.
That was the first look one.
Because the good folk at Upper Deck sent us. We opened on the Tuesday.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome.
So,
they said you got the box.
And we obviously couldn't release it until Thursday, but we gave the lead in for us to be able to do that, which was
super sweet.
Awesome. That was really sweet. So, but I was going to say the sketches will probably buy. That's quite a lot of good credit for you if you choose not to keep them, to get the cards that you actually want. Because
I actually, so I got 4 sketches. I've already confirmed to trade 2 of them and get a lot of what I wanted out of somebody. It was a really awesome trade. Yeah. So, those work really great.
That's the way to do it. Smart man. That's the way to do it.
So let's just quickly talk about 2020, because obviously 2020, 6, 8, 9 months ago, you were touring.
Yes.
You were doing Jurassic World. You couldn't talk about Masterpieces 2020 yet, even though you knew it was coming and you knew who was doing it. And then it was kind of like the REM song, "It's the End of the World as We Know It." Yeah. And then you went into lockdown. We all went into lockdown. You went into quarantine. Now I know, and tell me if you don't want me to just stop me if I'm saying too much. But I know from watching you on Facebook and on Instagram, actually, so you did put it out there publicly, that you were with your folks for a lot of that, and you started doing Ways to Survive 2020. You started doing the MCU movie marathon.
Yes.
With your folks.
Yeah, so my mom and dad had never seen any of the Marvel movies. And, I was like, I have this certain amount of time to spend at home with my family and enjoy, try to enjoy quarantine. So I was like, Mom, why don't we start from the beginning, and I'll take you through the Marvel movies. And I picked 12. I picked 12 out of the 22 that you need to see to get the story and, bring it all together. Because I'm like, A, I don't know how much time we have together. And B, if you don't like them, then I'm not going to make you sit through 22. So I think it was like 2 movies in, I got this idea to start making themed cocktails. So for every movie, I would make 4 to 5 different cocktails based on the character. So, for Thor, we'd have, a Thor cocktail, and then we'd have a Jane Foster. And, for Captain America, we had or a Loki. And we went through all the movies, and then I would just make, some most of the time amazing drinks. some of the times I had to get creative and experimental, and they didn't really work out as planned, but 99% of the drinks I made were fantastic.
That's awesome.
So I mean, basically you're all one-man content machine, because there's so much that I've watched where you do the little videos about the cocktails. And do you have experience in cocktail making?
Yes and no. Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of experience, but also, looking up different recipes and stuff like that. Okay. I tried to create as much as I could on my own. Yeah. And guys, it's really simple. And for anybody listening, like, it's really simple to grab a recipe of stuff that you like and learn how to make drinks. If I can do it, anybody can do it, honestly.
See, there's me thinking you were kind of like Tom Cruise at a cocktail in a former life, while you were paying your way through school.
Well, you know what? I started with a little bit of bartending experience during this process, but during this process, just learned so much. It became so much more comfortable. So, in the course of 6 months doing all of these videos and creating all of these cocktails for my family, I've become such a much better bartender, mixologist, and now I know things. That's know what to put together. So, yeah, I mean, there's always, even if you're starting from zero, it's very easy to learn.
So, and then this is more for the benefit of knowing, because knowing you've got to go and check some of these.
I love it. I know. I already started following. I've done all this while we were talking, and I'm like, no way, this is fantastic.
Well, it's
stuff.
It's the post-match analysis that makes me laugh, because you. Sorry, I'm cracking up because I know what's coming. So basically, almost every movie, you had the different reactions from your dad and then from your mum. I can't remember if you did them in order that they happened or if you did them in your dad first and then your mum. But it usually, invariably, was at some point your dad very early on would fall asleep.
Yep. Yeah. He, not that he wasn't entertained or enthralled by the movies. I just, he gets into his chair and it's lights out. So we would get 15 minutes into a movie and we'd look over and Dad be asleep, and then he'd wake up. He loves Scarlett Johansson, so he'd pop up and be like, "Oh, that's my girl Scarlett," and then 10 minutes later he'd be like, "All right, going to bed." But it's so funny the opposite reactions, because my mom was just on the edge of her seat or hidden under a blanket watching, and the amount of times she said, "Oh my God," during the action, or her kind of reactions and her quotes were by far my favorite.
Some of them are just legendary. But it's
I'll try to put together a master list, so that way you don't have to go. A master list of mom quotes.
Yeah, it's so good. They really are. And then you went back and you did some pickups, kind of pickup shots later, where you went back and did some of the ones that you didn't show.
Yeah, because Mom enjoyed it so much and we still had time, I was like, well, if you want, we can go back and watch the ones that we missed. We didn't watch Thor 2 and we didn't watch Ant-Man. We didn't watch Doctor Strange, some of those standalone movies where you don't necessarily need to see them to get the story. Right. I was like, let's go back and do those. And I guess I'll make more drinks.
If I have to.
Yeah, twisting my arm.
Yeah, I just and what made me laugh about that live break where you wore the Craven vest is that your mum was on there.
She was, commenting. And she joined the group specifically because I posted on my Facebook, "Hey, I'm doing this tomorrow." She specifically joined the group.
Oh, okay.
to watch me.
Sweet.
Because I have a feeling I saw
Mom,
her.
I love you. My mom is the best.
Because you got the membership questions for the group, Norrin, and I accepted it, so I don't think anyone else had seen it. But there was a membership question, and she answered, "Do you collect cards?" "No, but I'm Pat's mum," or something like that. I was like, straight away.
Oh, that's amazing.
So sweet.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, no, she puts. I can't remember what it was. The frustrating thing is, once you accept it, you can't then go back and see what their answers were. But it was something like that.
Yeah,
that's adorable.
She's been so supportive through this whole process, and like she knows how much I mean, like my mom would take me to the card store to buy the boxes. You know, like she was as involved in this process as I was, watching me break them and put them in sleeves. And she's been so supportive and so excited. You know, she has her favorite cards, which are awesome. You know, and I kind of kept showing her the process and you know, finally when the images started coming out, she was like, "That's you." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me."
She must be so proud.
So nice.
She must be so proud.
She's having a great time.
Oh man, that's brilliant. That's so fun. So talk to us about the cosplay, because you mentioned you dressed up as the Riddler, I believe, and as Khal Drogo with Khaleesi. So where did this? Because this sounds like it started a while back, and you've been doing it, which is how you met Dave. And
I mean, I gotta say, I mean, it's been a long time. It's been let's say like 2010ish. I don't know when cosplay kind of started, but I remember once I graduated college, I was like, hey, I do all this performance stuff. Like maybe I should try modeling or trying to get into doing something. And I remember being at one of these meetups where you spend a couple hours taking photos with photographers, and like, you know, it's collaborative and you figure some stuff out. But I would always bring as many, you know, things as possible. And I think we got like two photo shoots in, and I had a Deadpool mask at the time that wasn't cloth. It was like a hard airsoft. It looked really, really badass. But I was like, hey, I just want a photographer to take some photos of me as this like kind of suit and tie Deadpool. And that was kind of like the first thing I did. And then when, you know, Comic-Con started coming out, I would go, you know, mostly as Wolverine. I would go to these Comic-Cons dressed as like, you know, Wolverine or something like that. And then I sent you guys a picture. When I first moved to Texas, I came up with this idea of not the Winter Soldier, but the Summer Soldier.
It's absolutely brilliant.
So I went to Austin Comic-Con dressed as the Summer Soldier, and that cosplay went super viral. It was on Marvel.com. It was on all these different places to where the next time that I wore that costume, I met Sebastian Stan.
Oh, my goodness.
And I showed him a photo of my cosplay, and he's like, "Dude, that's you? That's hilarious. I've seen that all over the place." And I was like, crazy.
That's hilarious. What?
Yeah.
Wow.
And over time, you know, everybody started doing the same character. So there was always a Wolverine, there was always a Deadpool. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing characters that people don't really do or that you don't see very often. And I decided to start doing Kraven. And you know, it was a huge hit at these Comic-Cons, and you know, I did a couple of photo shoots and stuff like that, and like that's one that I was like, yeah, okay. So like a Kraven cosplay is it's very well received. I think I do it pretty well. But yeah, for me, cosplay was just something to do outside of my normal performing that was super fun and that I can get into and connect with people and go to these Comic-Cons and, you know, find people like me who like to play dress up and pretend, but, you know, like in kind of the coolest way possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously you get paid for it as a living as well. So you really are.
Well, now I do, which is awesome.
Oh yeah.
That's freaking great.
What I love about your Kraven, and as I said, we will put all these on the tasting notes because they are brilliant. The image you've sent us of you as Kraven, the detail I love is the Spider-Man mask that's tucked into your waistband.
Yeah, that was fun.
Same, that was smart.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. Now, obviously, you're very, and I know you said you were a chunky kid, as I was, and in some ways still am. But I know you are in incredibly good shape, I would say. And I don't really know much about the scales of being in good shape, but obviously that is your living, and you need to look amazing. How much do you have to do to stay in that kind of condition? And is it...
Honestly, so I mean, like because it's my livelihood at this point, and because I'm like before all this quarantine stuff happened, I was a full-time stunt performer, athlete. It's my job and my life, but also like I very much enjoy it. I very much enjoy the physical aspect and working out and playing sports. As of right now, I work out 6 days a week and I have 1 day off. They're usually super intense, just because that's kind of what I've gotten accustomed to. And I know the expectations of being on a tour or being on a film set. And my mental game is always be prepared for the next opportunity. So, even during quarantine and stuff like that, it's, I didn't stray from my routine of 6 days a week, eating relatively clean. Cheat meals are fantastic. And I'm not going to say that I'm super strict with my diet, but I work hard enough to even it out. But yeah,
awesome.
Physicality and athleticism and all that stuff plays such a huge part of my life that it's not something that I can really take a break from.
No. Well, it is your career, effectively. So
thank you. What's so funny is that you mentioned that too, is that I see, Dave and I probably did 4 or 5 sessions, and I see some of the photo references and I see some of the stuff, and Dave was not so much concerned with the angles that I was concerned with, because I look a little chunky in a lot of those reference photos, and I was like, hey, Dave. Just
hey, Dave.
That's obviously a joke, but with modeling and stuff like that, it's all about the lighting and the angles and making you look the best. And for me personally, that was my concern, but not Dave's at all, because he's just trying to get his photo that he needs. He doesn't care what I look like.
He needs his building blocks that he's going to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's looking at lighting references. He's looking at every. Yeah.
Yeah, he's concerned with the stuff that I'm not concerned with, and vice versa.
Right.
Yeah, because I've watched some of your time lapse and short workout videos that you've put up, and after each one of them, I feel worn out. So God knows how you feel. So. And I have to sit down and have a biscuit and a cup of tea. But the Venom card, especially, because I know you posed for the Venom. That one, he's really bulked you out. I mean, you're check, but
that is the shape of my body, but nowhere near the size of And Venom's just such a massive character. But I mean, that card, and again, another character that I was like super psyched to pose for. That card came out fantastic.
Did you do both Venoms? Because there's the one where he's falling from the sky.
No, I didn't. I just did the one. I didn't post for that one where he's falling from the sky. Just the one where he's kind of perched up, in the rubble. Yeah. I think that was one of the only characters that I did one of, but not the other.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with it, because I'm trying to imagine short of suspending you from a ceiling, unless he got a glass coffee table and shot you from underneath. Yeah. I don't know how that would actually.
We got pretty creative on some of those, and a credit to Dave. He in most of the cards where there's action, we tried to do the action. So when Wolverine is jumping and slashing, like that's me jumping in the air and slashing, or
wow.
Most of it was kind of suspended here and there, or you'd have to take photos of maybe the top half of my body and then the bottom half. But, the most that we could get it in one shot, we went for it. I remember the old man Logan, when he's got Red Samurai behind him, that was me whipping my coat and whipping the claw, trying to get it in motion as much as possible.
Right, because the muscles in your body have to show that tension, and that's what you're trying to capture. Yeah,
and that's a credit to him, because he was so focused on detail, and such a good director too when it came to, I'm not a super experienced model, but I kind of know what I'm doing, and especially I'll give myself credit, embodying these characters is what I do for a living. I can only do so much, but Dave's direction was just fantastic. Super comfortable, super easy. He knows exactly what he's doing, exactly what he wants. And, I think the first day I was there, we did one character. I don't know who it was, but I think we did like 4 or 5 photos. And he's like, yeah, that's great. We're done. I was like, well, are you sure? Are you sure you got what you needed? Because that was so quick. They weren't all that quick, but he knows exactly. He's like laser focused. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Had a plan, kind of went for it, and just goes and gets it. Yeah, that's amazing. Wow.
He's got that photographer's eye as well, isn't he? So I guess he's
very much so.
We spoke to him. He's got that way of kind of almost framing it and storyboarding it in his head, I guess.
Well, he showed us the process too. So he showed the sketches you saw on the coffee table were some of the ones he showed us from his book, and how he was, and all these sketches. So it was pretty phenomenal to see that process. I that's my favorite part of all this, is to see how we go from concept to execution. Just phenomenal to see all this.
Yeah, it's a really cool process. And some of those cards I didn't even see after the sketch. So all I really saw was the sketch and the finished product.
Wow.
And just the detail that he put into the backgrounds and the environments. That took me a while because obviously I'm so hyper focused on looking at the character. It took me forever to see the Baron Zemo and then see the people under him worshiping him. I was like, oh my God. Or the backgrounds of, the Wolverine, the buildings and all that stuff. Just amazing.
Yeah, we were doing the same thing. We were cracking up. Ian and I were talking to Dave, and we're looking at pieces with Dave, and we're like, "Oh wait, the lights are on in the Venom piece in the building, and it's dusk." And it's we were having a good time. It was crazy fun.
Yeah, it's awesome.
One of my favorite ones, because I don't have any of the cards in hand at all yet, and I'm only kind of glancing at a lot of them at the moment because I want to wait until I've got them in hand to properly. Because otherwise I could not have any of this and I could just look at it all on a phone screen. I don't really want to do that. I want to be able to see it, and it's the physicality, and I'm very much a physical media person. But someone pointed this out, that the arcade character, who I believe appears twice in the set, I want to say.
He does.
One of them, he's looking at all these monitors, and in the monitor is the Wolverine image that you posed for, so the exact image that's on some of the other cards. So he's put some card images in other cards.
That's such a cool detail, and so creative. And I didn't notice that either at first, because I didn't really see that arcade until Dave put up all the the master shots of it. But I was like, what a cool concept, what a cool idea to use. You could have used any image that you wanted, but you used the ones from the cards. It's brilliant.
Yeah. That's just, I love it. It's one of those little Easter eggs, and that's the thing. More than, Noreen and I have talked about this on the show, where we've talked about Bianchi's work and how there's a kind of a dystopian kind of thing going on with a lot of the characters are very otherworldly, that very much fits the aesthetic that Simone does. With Dave, one of the interesting things about Dave is that there's an awful lot of, maybe it's my perception of it, I don't know, but it seems like there's an awful lot of Easter eggs in there for a start. There's an awful lot of deep cuts, which I love, which there's characters in there I've literally never heard of. And
it's funny. He mentioned one of his favorites was Pip the Troll. And that's such a good. He kept explaining to me what he wanted to do and how he was seeing it, and then he was so excited when it finally all came together. But I remember seeing him at one point. He was like, "Who's Pip the Troll?" And I was like, "Oh, Pip the Troll, yeah." He's like, "Well, what is he in?" And I was like, "Well, kind of Avengers, kind of all over, but no, he's not a very popular character, but." Just what he did with that character in that card, I was like, brilliant.
I have a feeling that's the one he referenced that he spent way too much time on.
He did. He told us.
Yeah,
that's the one. So that's what he told me.
So I can't wait to have Dave back on so we can do a post-release look at some of this, because I want to talk about that, because I know that Pip the Troll, there's a director's cut that he put up, which the final card has had some elements changed because of the gambling chips, I believe.
So it was the poker chips. Yeah.
And I apologies for this, Dave. Pat, sorry. Who am I talking to? Dave, Steve? Who are you?
Hi there.
when someone Pip the Troll came out, and I think you commented on it, and I said, "Oh, that was one of the ones you posed for," and without meaning to come off as completely insulting, I was just trying to have a joke with it. But
I didn't take it that way at all. I wish I had. I wish I had posed.
I would have loved to have posed for Pip the Troll. I would have been so there for that. I'm really looking forward to just getting, building the set, because I will be slow building it, and just gradually discovering the pieces. Because 2018 I acquired very quickly. I went deep, and I think I got 6 boxes initially.
Okay.
Oh wow!
Then I had it all on physical before e-packs came out, pretty much. So
I forgot that. That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah, no, I went. I was going to say something rude. I went deep on 2018, and I'm still chipping away at it because I ran out of steam before I finished it. So who knows how long it will take me to put
They're hardy sets, man. They're hardy sets, and
they are.
And Pat, take your time with, once e-pack comes and they go on COMC, you know what I mean? Please take your time with it. Don't regret trading anything you don't want to get rid of. You know what I mean?
I'm being very smart about it. I have the stuff that I can let go, and the stuff I want to keep. I had a question for you guys. So, like, you guys growing up too, and me collecting the cards. Do you, I guess, agree with the fact that these are now so hard to collect financially, and just the limits on the cards, or do you think that I mean, I know there's a bunch of different cards out there, but even the Marvel Masterpieces when I was growing up were affordable and collectible, in a box or two. Do you think that limits people from getting into the hobby or staying into the hobby? I'm just curious on your thoughts on that.
I have some thoughts on this. My first thoughts on this are, because a few people have asked this, and it's something we often get challenged with in the group. Masterpieces is, like it or not, Masterpieces is now a premium brand, and that's the decision that Upper Deck took. Yeah. So they limit it, and it's partly down to how successful 2016 is. There's a bigger audience for it now, for people who, by and large, do have a lot more spending power, and they are those kids that grew up. The other thing I always try and politely say to people is that this isn't the 90s. It's times have moved on. So this is no longer that entry level set. I'm not so sure that entry level set exists because the distribution doesn't exist in the same way. A lot of those stores that you could buy cards from in America when you were growing up either don't stock them or don't exist. It simply doesn't happen. So I think this isn't an entry level set anymore. It is probably a returnee kind of set. So I think that is the biggest hesitation a lot of people have, because they come back into it having collected Masterpieces as a kid. So they're not new to the hobby, they're returners to the hobby. Yeah. I think that probably scares away as many people as it does bring in. But for brand new collectors to cards, I would say Masterpieces is a lofty one to go in. It's kind of like going to grade 8 on a piano when you've only just started figuring out which hand does what and what the pedals do. So is my take on it, but everyone approaches it differently.
That all makes sense. I guess if that there are other sets and more affordable sets are out there, that's great for the first time collector, or the guy with kids who doesn't want to spend money on this stuff, or But as long as that information and those sets are out there, that's great.
I guess so.
I think it definitely makes me. I mean, I agree with everything you guys are saying 100%. I think what makes me. I mean, of course, the whole reason people ask that question, like you did, Pat, and why I've been asked that question, why I've asked that question, is because you just think to yourself, you're like, man, it was so great when I was a kid and I saw these cards. I really wish some kid could have that experience, because that's what got me into superheroes, if I can be honest. Like I've looked at the comic books, and I've always been a collector of Surfer. X-Men is my thing. Like if I had to go to another thing, and which I do, I love Spider-Man, I love X-Men, I love it all. my focus, the thing that got me were the cards, because you had the power meters, you had the first introductions, you had the intros, it's like you got this little story and personality all in this one space, and it was amazing. And I 100% wish that could come full circle for people and like bring new people in, because I think that's healthy for any collectible, right? I really do. I think maybe what some other things do really well, like Pokemon or Magic, you know what I mean, is that you have tiers of things people get into. You know what I mean? Like, if you're Pokemon, you can do new Pokemon sets and see all the new Pokemon. You just get into a game. Oh, I want to see this on the card. Bada bing. And what happens at the end of that is you do graded Pokemon cards, and then you can go the high tier, high collectible type of thing, right? And that's where people are spending the money that we're spending. Not as much, but pretty close for the Marvel masterpieces. So I wish there was that tier. It's just, Ian's right. Unfortunately, the distribution, and I would also be quite frank and say the advertising, right? There's no advertising for these to get people into this. It's not like, for us, right? And pandemic, so this is really taking away the whole. It was in the
back of comic books,
Yeah, it was in comic books. It was in magazines. You can go to a mall, baby, and I love. Pat, you know that. I think we're all close in age. Yeah. Going to the mall, passing a mall stand, seeing those packs of cards and boxes. Or in the glass jewelry cases, I died. I loved all of that.
It was heaven. It was heaven.
It was
so
heaven.
Excited.
And I didn't get any of that.
That's right.
I hear you tell tales of this, and I'm like, oh.
It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart that you didn't get a chance to do that. Like, I think if it wasn't 2020, I think there should be a show with all of us, and we can set this up in a way where we can kind of look at these things and like we did back in the day, and like see giant standees and like average. You know what I mean? That would be the dream. And I think
it was kind of the height of the hype and like height of the marketing and excitement, and
yeah. And I think that for kids, having like Card Con or whatever it would be. There has to be a way to get kids to do it, because I do see, could you imagine being a young kid and seeing Palumbo's work for the first time, or Bianchi or Joe again? You know what I mean? It's crazy.
That's what happened with me and Julian Boris. That's what happened to me in 96.
Same.
It completely changed my look and my outlook and my perspective on artwork.
Yep. It does. It gives you that deeper appreciation.
I think the biggest
that do that for you is crazy.
I think the biggest feeder, if you like. So if you think about getting people into it, I think the biggest feeder that I've seen of attracting younger kids into the hobby has been the MCU movies. So if you think 100%. About kids, so that I think that speaks volumes as to how. Well, the amount of Walmart level distribution there is for the MCU movies versus the art card side of the hobby.
Yes.
So that's a complete flip from the 90s. So they're basically those are the affordable ones. I've got here the Walmart Captain America Civil War sets, and they're beautiful cards, but they are your pocket money cards. And they're beautiful cards still. They've got the Upper Deck hologram on. They're really glossy, and
I think a really cool,
beautifully produced.
Yeah,
but that's the thing that the kids are getting through that kind of distribution channel. What the other thing I've seen is interesting is that some of the guys who are doing these live breaks, who are in their 30s and their 40s, are doing it with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kids.
Yeah, I think that's great.
So there is that generational handover that I know we've talked about before. That I absolutely do love about Masterpieces, and I don't see that with any other card brand, because Masterpieces is the longest Marvel card lineage. This is why it can support having its own group. Flair's done a fair few sets, Marvel Universe done a fair few sets, Flair Ultra's done a fair few sets, but Masterpieces, this is the 11th set, and so you have these people in the group busting it with their kids, and their kids are just absolutely loving it.
It's just so funny you say that, and I just imagine people going like, now remember, Tommy, you can look at the card, but we don't touch the card.
We don't touch the card, Tommy.
They go in the safe, and you don't know the combo.
You'll never see this again. That phone you have, just take a picture, Tommy. Okay, it's
You can
off.
see
Tommy.
whenever you want.
It'll be in the safety
Tommy,
deposit box.
you know those gloves they gave you at school because of the virus, because of the germs. Use
Yep.
We
those.
use that here. We use that here,
Right.
Tommy.
That was dark. That was dark. Sorry.
Gosh, that's great.
But it's
Oh,
and, you know it's
no.
good. It's good that the kids do have and I do tend to agree now that we talked about it. Like it's
Yeah.
great that kids have sets to go into and build and stuff like that. But I mean, you're absolutely right. This is
Yeah.
a premium set with premium artwork with really awesome artists, and I get that.
And like a part of me, the collector in me loves the hunt and loves the value. I can't even lie. Like I can't sit here and pretend that, does that mean I want it all for myself? No. I mean, Silver Surfer, no one can have that. But anyway, let's talk about something else. No, I'm just joking. No, but like, I like the chase. I like the hunt. I like the value that it gets. And I like that people see the value. And the people that do see the value are people who are also spending, and collecting and caring for these pieces at the level to which I am. 100%. I think, and what Ian mentioned about the MCU cards, I think a simple little solution to this would just to have like a 10, 20 card inset of like things that have come out in Marvel Masterpiece cards and other sets. You know what I mean? Just like a little preview that's not tiered, not super expensive, but you know what I mean? That has a little bit of
card.
Just a common card with the art. You know what I mean? Because they have the art, they have that. You know what I mean? And that's not going to break anybody's like collector tier vault of things. But at the same time, a kid could get that MCU set and be like, whoa, what's this? And on the back of the cards, featured in Marvel Masterpieces.
Yeah.
And that way you have this kind of nice little, jump across sets. I think that for me, if there was ever a solution, and there's probably thousands, other things people have thought of more brilliant than I think that would be something nice, really nice.
See, I'm not sure. See, that's the thing. I would also challenge: is it a problem that needs solving? Because it's something that we perceive, but I'm not sure how big a deal it actually is. I mean, certainly on a commercial level, how much need there is for any manufacturer to do that. But not that I'm dismissing it. It's just something I don't know because
that's true, right? And maybe this is
collector-focused mentality on it.
This might just be the way of the world. I mean, Ian's right. 2016 changed everything. 100%.
Yeah, it seems like it. And I'm still brand new to jumping back in and re-educating myself. But it seems like 2016 just blew the doors off.
So that car that you drove across country in.
Yeah.
Sell that and buy 2016.
That's how crazy that is.
Would it be enough?
I don't know what kind of car you've got, but I'm probably not.
What's great, personally, what I think is fantastic about the way that I'm perceiving all of this is I'm such a huge fan, and even with the 2020 box, like I know what I want out of this box, having this experience, and I can appreciate it so much. Even the 2016, 2018, there are cards that I got out of that box that I was just blown away by, and the colors and all that stuff. But knowing that I don't have to collect every single card makes it so much less stressful for me. Yeah. So credit to everybody who is just chasing these things so hard. That's such a feat.
I mean, honestly, that was the group too, because I think you're right, Pat, and Ian mentioned this too. Like if I opened a box by myself and I didn't get a full set and I got what I got was in the box, I'd be not disappointed in the art, but I'd be kind of sad that I couldn't see the rest of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I feel like, and EPAC is really good about this too, and I'm not promoting things. What I'm saying is that this hobby, since they're called trading cards, it really is a community hobby. It's not a desert island hobby. It's very much like, let's, there's things that happen and stupid stuff, yada, yada, yada. But I think what's nice is that these conversations are the ones that matter. I wouldn't give a crap about the cards if I couldn't have these kind of conversations. Does that make sense?
It's great because when I started this process, I didn't know where to turn to. And I'm so glad and lucky that I found you guys and the group, because I'm like, oh, okay, now I have info. Now I have connections. Now I have, people to talk to about this and people to super fortunate. And Ian and I, being so close to each other and not even knowing years ago. So glad to finally connect with you. But this group has been so amazing for me, even though I sat there for a year and a half wanting to scream.
From the mountaintops. Man, you guys have no idea what's coming.
That's kind of how I feel. That's kind of how I feel all the time. But anyway.
Yeah. But no, it's just been fantastic to have this community of 99% awesome people who are as passionate and, supportive and, like I said, like growing up, I was made fun of for collecting these cards. And, I look back at all that stuff now, just where my life has gone, from me collecting comics and being so hardcore Marvel and being made fun of. And I'm like, now I could sit back and be totally okay.
Yep.
I think that's how everyone's feeling. I mean, and crazy to think about that and like spanning across other collections. Everyone was like, oh, how am I going to make $1 million for my old Pokemon set or my Marvel cards or, anything else? And all of us people who've always just enjoyed the hobby are kind of sitting back now like, that's right.
What's so funny, and it's something that I definitely want to mention, but because I'll never forget it, and the day is so vivid in my mind. I had to be under 10. I had to be around 10 years old. My family, we would go to Baltimore, and they had this big Inner Harbor, and it's got all these shops and stuff like that, and they always had a card shop. And whenever we would go there, I'd go to the card shop and I'd pick up some cards. And I remember walking away, looking at my cards, and I remember my dad looking back and being like, why are these worth anything? Are they like baseball cards? Are they like sports cards? Are they going to be worth anything growing up? And I was like, yeah, Dad, they're going to be worth more than all those sports cards. And look at us now. Like, look at it, it's on par with some of the major sports cards. And, and I collected all that stuff too. I collected sports cards as well.
Yeah.
But how crazy to think that a hobby that we had growing up could be just blow up like this.
Yeah, it's nuts too, because you're right? The Marvel stuff was not. My next door neighbor. Like, I was never into sports. Like, I'm 6'5", but I've never been like super great at sports or anything like that. Not because of I didn't practice. I didn't do the work. I didn't put in the time. But I was always into like, the drawing, storytelling, which is what I do now, and what I do now with screenwriting and what I teach. Anyway, but I had a neighbor who was an athlete, really great athlete, super good guy. He's like an older brother to me, but he used to collect baseball cards. And I remember him collecting his cards, and I was never quite interested. And I was like, yeah, it's cool, player stats, yada yada. And then I saw my first Marvel cards, and then he saw Marvel, and then he had a box because his parents would buy him boxes because he had a little bit of money to do that. And I remember us opening them up, and it was just such a cool way to kind of like start a new collector without having to be stuck in sports, And you're right, at the back of the day, Marvel cards were kind of like, oh, here's something fun to do, not something fun to hold on to. Yeah, so people who held on to it. Yeah.
You didn't collect them expecting to make a return on your investment. You were collecting because it was a hobby.
Right. Or, and there's an expectation with sports cards, I think, right? I think when people collected sports cards back in the 90s, people thought, I'm going to keep these nice. The Marvel cards, no one had that expectation. Only people who enjoyed it were keeping those nice. And I think that's the same thing with Pokemon and Magic and stuff like that.
I think with sports cards, though, even then, the stuff from the 50s was still was worth loads. So sports cards have got such a longer history. Just
so true.
Yeah, they go back a long way. But my version of that, because I didn't really get into cards until later, my version of that was Star Wars figures, the Kenner ones. So we're talking late 70s, early 80s. I'd go around a mate's house, and he had like the Snowtrooper one, and I had a regular Stormtrooper and then a biker scout or whatever it was from Return of the Jedi. Again, all of that stuff is just at the time, no one thought it was going to be worth something. So, of course, now it's worth something. And I remember when Star Wars The Phantom Menace came out, they produced all these figures. Loads of people bought them and stashed them away in their loft thinking, oh, yeah, these are going to be worth something like the original ones were. But they were made for that to be done to, whereas the original ones weren't. They were made to be played with. And, oh, boy, did I play with them. But do I still wish I had some of them now? Yeah, I do. But I don't have any of them. They're all gone. But
well, you know, it's funny too, because like how as a child can you put yourself in a mindset of like you get a toy or you buy a toy but you can't play with it, it just goes on a shelf. Like be a child, be creative, have that experience, open them up, play with them. I had every single Marvel action figure that they made, and not one of those was kept in the box. You know, like I would set them up on my desk and have scenes and play, you know, like, and I wouldn't change a thing, because that's where my creativity came in, and that's where, you know, so.
But the value of that is the value of that is immeasurable to you, because you have the memories of doing that, which is the same with me with the Star Wars figures. So you can't put a value on that. You know, I had a childhood through playing with those figures, and
those were my friends, man. Those were the things that I did, and like Pat too. Like I grew up doing a bunch of acting stuff when I was a kid and through high school and stuff. But those toys, man, that's when like that was my directing. I went to the top of the staircase. People were falling. You know, all that fun stuff that you get to do as an adult now, which is just amazing, Pat. But like all of us did this, right? All of us got to have these. I mean, Ian's 100% right. You can't put a money value to that ever.
No, and it's cultivating your imagination and your creativity and your, like I said, your storytelling and all that stuff. Like that's what you need as a kid.
Yeah. Which is why, you know, especially in sports actually, but I've noticed it in Marvel as well, is that there is a large proportion of people who don't have any value of the base cards, because they're just going after the hits. They're going after the big stuff.
Right.
I see the value in you know, funny enough, I was just flicking through them while we were talking, my Marvel Universe 1992 spares, looking for a Wolverine card. But of course, you know, you got White Queen, and there's those stats on the back that you've got.
Love that set.
And this, you know, this is one of, you know, a stack I've got here, and they're all gorgeous. Yeah, you know, they all have a value. They might not be worth much, but they all have a value, and I think that's the biggest kind of thing I always, you know, tell people when they come into, you know, they've got all these 90s cards, and they're like, oh, I've got these cards, and, you know, are they worth anything? I say, you know, I want to say, well, are they worth anything to you? But that's not the answer they're looking for. But I always manage to get around to saying that, but that's not my opening gambit. But yeah, it is interesting. I mean, you know, I've recently gotten into sports cards myself by Patriots is my team.
You beast.
Yeah. Nice. So I've got some signature from one of the players, but again, there are hundreds of thousands of these things released every year versus Marvel, where you've got, you know, relatively a small proportion of the product that sports has coming out, you know.
I recently went through, and of course with the move and everything, I went through all my old sports cards, and, you know, like there are a million Michael Jordans and Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and all those, and like
Magic Johnson,
they're not worth anything, because they were so mass produced. You know, like, you know, I was like, oh my God, these are going to be worth a fortune, and like, no, they're not.
No,
not even close.
But still cool to own them.
Very cool.
Oh, super cool. Yeah, very cool.
Which is fantastic. Pat, where can people? We talked about your Instagram, but where can people find you online? Do you want to give yourself a little bit of a pimp here as to where?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the easiest way to go. I post a lot of you know, entertaining stuff and stuff from, you know, projects that I'm a part of. It's all on Instagram for the most part. It's at Pat King. You know, I try to keep my Facebook a little private. There's you know, there's no website or anything. Just Instagram's fun. Instagram's easy. So check me out.
There's no website yet, Pat, but I can see it in the future.
You know what? I should probably put one up.
Yeah. Even if it just does a landing page that just links to where people can see some of your stuff or post some of the videos. What's next for Pat? I mean, I know with performance stuff, you often can't talk about it. Like Dave can't talk about stuff he's working on now. But you know, what's next in Pat World?
Yeah. So I mean, like, I used to live here in Austin, Texas, and I moved back here because the rumor was that work was going to start up again here in Texas. So right now I'm focusing on film and TV stunt work, and also doing the acting thing. I've always written as well. So during this quarantine, I really focused on writing scripts, pilots, and stuff to make that part of my career as well. So I'm gonna chill here in Austin, Texas for a little bit. This is where I'm happy, and I've got some really good friends. And hopefully work's gonna start up soon. When it comes to the live shows in Jurassic, we're still kind of waiting around to see how the world takes this thing and we all figure out the next step. But in the meantime, I'm gonna focus more on. I just got to focus on what's available, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of enjoying the quiet. It's the calm before the storm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I can imagine when things.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're ready to spring into it.
You know what? That was my goal during this time, was to remain prepared. That's it. Staying healthy and all that stuff was obviously number one priority, and spending time with my family. But I've always been in the mindset of being prepared for the next opportunity, because I don't know what it is and I don't know when it's coming, but I know it's coming, and I'm going to be ready for it.
Smart.
And if someone hears this and picks up the phone, and when I say someone, because I don't, who it is, picks up the phone and says, "Would you like to model for Marvel Masterpieces 2022?" I'm sure the answer would be
absolutely. I am always, hey guys, listen, this was such an awesome experience, just because I'm so connected to the characters and the universe. Seriously, if any artist needs somebody, I am your guy.
That's awesome, man. God, I love it. I love it.
Wonderful. All right. Well, Pat, unless there's anything else you wanted to ask us, I think we're pretty much ready for our customary sign-off.
Yeah, no, guys, thank you so much for having me. I sincerely appreciate it. This has been honestly a dream come true, just every step of the way. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you to Dave.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you to Dave, Julie, and Boris. Thank you to my amazing family. It's just so awesome.
Thank you for being such a positive and fantastically fun part of our community. It's appreciated.
Seriously.
Yeah. All right, Pat. You know what to do, buddy.
Am I doing the thing?
You are doing the thing.
Doing the thing. Hey, guys, this is all I really have to say. Enjoy collecting.
Thanks for listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast. Visuals and tasting notes for each episode can be found on our Facebook page. You can subscribe and leave us a voicemail via our home on anchor.fm/MCCP. We're also on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. Please take a second to subscribe, like, and review our show wherever you get your podcasts. Our podcast can be found by Googling @the MCC Pod, which will also find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Our Facebook community is at MCCW, Marvel Card Collectors Worldwide, and MMC, Marvel Masterpieces Collectors. The great music we use is called Rocket Power by Kevin MacLeod. Thanks to the collectors, artists, and creators who support the Marvel Cards Fan Collective. We'll see you next time, and remember, it's a small hobby but a fun one. Make mine Marvel and enjoy collecting.